Okay, welcome to Loud Thoughts with Seaman and Chance. Today we have Annette, who is a personal trainer and also a trainer at CrossFit Danbury. Would you like to open up with a little bit about who you are, what you do?
So I'm a trainer. I graduated from Western Connecticut State University back in 2015 with my degree in exercise science, health and wellness, and a minor in psychology. So I started training straight out of college, 2015, been a trainer ever since. I've worked at sports specified jobs where I was working with specific athletes and bettering their performance with these sports. And then I worked at corporate gyms, started my own business. I also work with fire departments.
That I find so interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. So I do it all. But yeah, I've been doing this. Oh my God, I don't know why I looked at my watch.
I think I would
2015,
too.
that's like, 7-8 years now?
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm personally right now getting my CPT.
Nice.
So I'm excited. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because I have the health and life coaching right now. So I want to add that. And then I'm adding online. And then eventually I want to do mobility. I just want to, just for me alone, learn this stuff as I continue training. So it's...
You've got to continually educate yourself when it comes to
things are always
exercise
updating.
science, nutrition. Exactly. It's always changing. You should always be taking CEUs. I take them all the time, especially if you need to recertify yourself. You need to have a certain amount of CEUs to recertify yourself. But it's good because then you go through the process of taking these courses and learning more information as you do it.
That's what I love. I never had any passion of like this subject or this subject, so I was always a floater. No, I'll work here. But once I started getting through the change of like losing the weight and helping my health issues and all of that kind of stuff, I was like, oh, there it is. There's my passion.
You gotta find your niche.
It's right, and it's when it hits you though, and I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that, first of all, how do people want to find you? Because I hype you all the time. I don't want to hype you too much on the podcast. So, but if people want to find you, as a trainer locally, if they're looking for somebody to work with, she is the person you want to work with, by the way, 100%. How could they find you?
You could find me on Instagram at DOYONNN. My email is also adoyon012@gmail.com. If you look at Bethel Fitness,
I can also get all this information and I'll add it into like the comment section.
Bethel Fitness is where I run my training business, and then CrossFit Danbury.
That's so funny. I've seen you running across the street so many times, and it's funny because that's where I started training with my friend Christina when she was still at the gym.
I heard about her.
So, so me and her actually went to high school together, and when she saw that I was struggling, she reached out and was like, let's just go for walks. Yeah. And then eventually it just turned into, personal trainer was the best thing that I could have done for myself. So I love all personal trainers because they're all so different and can offer you different techniques and all that kind of stuff. So I love all
You got to start your fitness journey if you've never done anything before. That's the best advice I can get you with a trainer. You have to. Because you don't understand what you're doing. It can be intimidating. And then just making sure you know what you're doing and how to properly execute it. That way you can get to your fitness goals that much quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than wasting your time at the gym.
Absolutely. No, it's true. Because, I've done both where I had a trainer and then I did CrossFit. And I like the mix, right? Where, like, sometimes I'll come into CrossFit and I'm like, that was a good workout. But I also like that I've figured out, like, what my balance is of what I need for my body.
Yeah.
And how to work out like that. You know what I mean? So, I just love it.
Yeah. You got to find, it's all about your fitness goals, too. Depending on what your goals are. If your goals are to lose weight, then you gotta get on a program to help you lose weight. If your goals are to build muscle, you need to get on a program to build muscle. If your goal is to move, then just take classes.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, for me, it's like I do have goals, but it's no longer about weight loss. It's about...
That's awesome.
Oh, I know.
That's the best feeling.
No, honestly.
Like, what's next now?
I'm like, it's exciting that I get to focus on more, like, what techniques do I want to work on? Or, I'm this close to a total bar, which I never thought in my life could even try to get. You know what I mean? So it's fun when you get past that, like, just maintenance, and it's like
Most people stop there.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what goals can we come up with now? That's like even at the edge, like, ooh, should I talk about the edge?
You can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. Well, at the corporate gym I was working at, like, for example, if I had a client who had a weight loss goal and she wanted to lose 25 pounds, I got her to that 25-pound goal. Obviously, that gym wants me to keep that client.
Yes.
Keep the revenue, keep the income.
Well, it would be good for her, too.
So what do I do? Okay, well, what other goals do you have in mind? Like what you said, like, do you want to work on a totem bar?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be able to run a marathon? Like, what other goals can we find that will spike your motivation and keep you going consistently in the gym?
I love that.
Do you notice the more... this is the one part, because I now only train athletes because it's not a primary job of mine. So that. Yeah, but it's something that I only do, and I only do for friends, and I only do it for friends that are already heavily into the athletic realm. But back when I was doing more helping the broader population...
Well, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder because you're working with people who are already motivated.
That's where I was going with this. But the thing is, the one thing I do miss is as people see progression, their motivation starts to increase, and that's a very cool thing to watch, though. And that's why the psychology plays into it as well, because it's a mental state and physical state that works together, which is super cool. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing better than watching that happen, and that only exists really in your realm, because even people that focus on the psychology part, like psychologists, psychiatrists, they see people get better in a mental state. But the thing is, when you do it in your profession, you see both their mental state and their physical state change over time, which is cool.
Yeah, you see, I mean, for that person, let's say, for example, if their goal is weight loss, like, they start noticing some small results after, like, 4 weeks. Then the trainer starts seeing results after 4 weeks. And then your friends and family start seeing results after another 4 weeks. And then once you hear it, once you see it yourself, and then you have someone else noticing it, and then you have your friends and family noticing it too, it's just like it
No, that's a huge, I'll tell you, that's a huge part of it for me.
But let me tell you, I would love to have just my clientels be athletes. I love my weight loss clients.
No, I get it.
I do, but I think down the road for me, my niche will be just strictly focusing on
I can see that, though. Yeah. Especially with how you train and you compete, which, I mean, you are a badass bitch, girl. Good job at the competition, by the way. I always love watching you. You just amaze me. Your form is always... Just like it
has to be a trainer.
Well, no, I know. No, it does. But that doesn't mean necessarily every trainer. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you know what I'm saying? No, like, not everyone has that.
I'm like, it has to be.
Yes, but the fact that, like, I'll watch you and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, goals. You know what I mean?
Gas
me up
here, why don't you?
Oh my god.
It's actually annoying because you look like you have more fun when you compete than anybody else I know, including myself.
Yeah.
So, like, if you watch me, G, and Pick, we're like, it's not that we're not having fun. We're just kind of like, we're doing what we're doing. Then, like, you look over at you and Court, too. Courtney's like that as well. Like, yay, all the time. And I'm sitting there like, you better work.
See, that's the difference where it's like, I could never work with Kevin. Because, no offense.
That's fine. That's why you need different people.
I need that, though.
I don't like being yelled at or anything. It depends. Also, it depends on who and how you're doing it.
It depends on the person.
I think also now that my confidence is also a little higher, I could probably take that. Whereas before, I'd probably run out.
No, call me a little bitch.
Yeah, I like it.
Scream at me.
If I'm like good friends with you, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But if it's someone I don't really know, you're also really intense. And I'll be like, Kevin, bring it down just a little bit.
That's okay. I don't know how, but the thing about athletes, the only thing that I'll tell you, I'm lucky because they're my friends and I can tell them to shut the fuck up because I'm not really getting paid for it. I do most of that work pro bono because I just really enjoy it and they're just trying to step up their game one notch. But they do have higher demands. They expect more out of themselves, so they will do the work, which is the positive, but they also expect results, which is the negative, and sometimes those results need time to accumulate. But they're not the most. They're driven.
Then how do you go about like talking to them about how they should be kind of expecting their goals.
Well, you got to put a proper framework
Yeah.
in mind, because everybody wants to be the best, but they want to be the best as fast as possible because we're limited. I mean, look, like yes, you have to be patient, but you only have so many years you could be in peak performance.
Well,
So you got to fight those two things.
yeah.
Like,
No, that makes sense.
and it's tough. It's conversation you have to have individually with every individual person. But
Well, that's kind of
my
why I had to
experience.
take a step back for a little bit from CrossFit, because I was comparing myself to people who were going for so much longer than me. And I was giving myself such a hard time of like, why the fuck are you not there? And I was like, I need to just reset, figure my shit out, and now I can go to CrossFit no problem, and I don't give a shit. Like, I'm doing my level. I used to think everyone, you know what I mean? Like, when your self-confidence is low, you think everyone's staring at you. You think, I'm not doing enough. No one cares.
Yeah.
I realized
The first
not
thing that you
one
learn is
goddamn
no one
person cares.
No one cares.
You're there.
Yeah.
That's the most important
You also
part.
don't know what they're doing outside of those workouts, if they're on their own program.
That's true.
How long they've been training for, stuff like that. Yeah, that all plays a huge
No,
role.
I mean, let's talk like Lindsay Zank. Have you met Lindsay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, like, I was in a class and she was literally in, like, the lane across from me. And I'm like, this bitch. I'm like, why am I trying to race Lindsay Zank, who is top of our, you know what I mean? So I just had to
But it gives you
learn
a
to
goal,
dial,
though,
yeah.
to also work for.
That is
you know?
true.
And it shows you that it's possible. That's the big thing too. Like when you go there, you see what's possible. That
For
can
me,
either
though,
inspire you
my
or
health
cripple you.
issues, if I push just a little too much, but and I also found in those moments of pushing too much as I might feel sick, it does make me stronger. I don't like being sick, so if I push just a little too much, I'm in bed the next day, which sucks ass. But I've been learning the balance of how to do it and not, I'll still push myself. Like I did half Murph this year, and last time I did it partnered with Brett.
Nice.
So this year I didn't have a partner. I still did it half. Ran the full miles though.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. I died. Like Brett came home and was like, I'm gonna go get you food. I was like, please do. I can't move. I'm dying. I'm just but again, I pushed myself. I got sick, but I feel like I got stronger from that.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we should segue that into nutrition and
Yeah,
how nutrition can help us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you want to begin?
I don't know, Kevin. This was kind of more.
Well, everywhere. I think that they tie together. Nutrition and supplementation correlate, and I think that people use the word supplementation incorrectly because they don't supplement their diet.
And I think
they treat it like it's part of their diet, which is wrong.
people hear nutrition and I think they freak out too.
Well, I don't talk. Also, I don't know if you knew this. I am a dietitian and a nutritionist. I haven't been recertified in
Are
ages.
you really?
Yes. I have been
God,
recertified
I was
in
going to
6 years.
say, we need like a little
Geez.
disclaimer because I was like, I am not a registered dietitian by no means. I would love to down the road. I mean, I went to school for exercise science. I took nutrition classes. When I went to my corporate gym that I worked at, we had to sell products. All supplements. And with that being said, we had to take courses on each individual supplement and learn it down to a cellular level.
Yes.
And how it works with people and how I can sell that and how I can educate people with that. But I'm not a registered dietitian. So I mean, like, what I say may help some people, but you, at the end of the day, talk to a registered dietitian, talk to
your
a doctor.
I'm no longer registered and I haven't recertified in ages.
Well, no, this is
Not
just
me.
basic.
I know.
You should always
So-
you know what I mean. Yes, you
don't
should always talk
slide
to your
into my
physician,
DMs.
because everyone has different health issues or this or that. So it's always smart to talk to someone like your
Don't
doctor
Google
first.
search it because
No.
you're gonna find out your leg is
Oh
gonna
God,
fall off.
no. How would you say, like, okay, because there's so many out there, right? So many different supplements. Like, how can you tell which ones are good versus bad? You know, like quality too.
So,
And necessary. That's the other question that nobody asks. In your exact position, what is? That's a conversation you
let's
have
start with
individually.
that. Let's start with that. Let's talk about what I like to call like the essential supplementations that you might need in your life. And then from there, what supplements you need. So what I like to say is like, what has your diet been like? Like, let's say, for example, I'm sitting down with you two and you guys are my clients, right? And I'm like, okay, so this is my first time meeting you. What has your diet been like over the past month? Walk me through it. What have you been eating? Let me see my fitness pal. Have you been to a doctor? Let me see your blood results. Let me see everything.
Okay,
Talk
you
to
look
me
at
about
people's
everything.
blood results for this.
You
okay.
have to. It's important.
No, hey, look,
Yeah.
you're
Absolutely.
talking to someone who really doesn't understand, like, what you need to do to find which supplements you need. Like, I mean, I've had blood work and I found I need B12, right? Because I'm very low on it. But I never really correlated, like, oh, blood work would help someone.
Absolutely. I mean, like, I think that's the best way to actually really figure out
Okay.
what deficiencies that you have.
Makes
and what
sense.
you
I mean,
need.
it makes sense.
But let's say, for example, it was just like a normal average Joe client. Most of the time, the essentials would just be a multivitamin.
Yep.
Okay. A probiotic. I wouldn't even go as far to say a fish oil. Okay, depending on your diet. We'll dive into that later. So multivitamin, probiotic. If they're not getting enough protein in their diet, protein. What else? Vitamin D, maybe.
Okay.
But it's very small for the essentials. And then that's when we can dive out. Okay? And we could say, okay, well, what's your diet like in regards to your meats and your fishes? Are you eating freshwater fish 3 to 4 times a week? And what kind of fish are you eating? Is it salmon, mackerel, haddock, anchovies, or sardines? Those are the freshwater fishes that you need to give you the fresh fatty acids that you need.
So I hate fish, so I would probably need.
You would probably need a fish oil.
Okay.
You can also supplement that with other stuff too,
I've
meaning
heard
there
like
are other
krill-
foods that contain the omega-3 fatty acids and the fatty acid complexes, but they're way more difficult
Well,
to
one
get.
of them I've heard.
That's the other
is,
thing
like,
too. Do you
krill
usually try to
oil.
promote food over supplementation, which is what I try
Well,
to
you
do,
should
but it's also
always.
But
it's
it's
so
hard.
difficult. It's so difficult to eat all the right foods all the time.
Well, here's the thing.
especially-
I'll give
yeah.
you. So, like, I'm your prime. Like my I fucked up my body hardcore health wise. I have gastroparesis, so I have to eat in small amounts. Otherwise, it's not digesting. Then I can't digest certain foods that are super healthy for you, even though I would love to. So, like, a lot of like broccoli, I can't digest. Peppers, I can't. You know what I mean? So I'm like your prime. Like, I probably do need more supplementation than I can get from real food, or like I'll try to get it from smoothies or
Yeah.
that type of stuff. But it's like sometimes it can be hard to get real food for certain people, right? Like, I am one of those people.
That's why I always go over their diet first.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not getting 0.8 to a gram of protein in your diet per pound of body weight that you have, maybe we should talk about getting some protein powder. If you are not getting 3 to 4 cups of vegetables a day, or 1 to 1.5 cups of fruit a day, maybe we should talk about doing a multivitamin. In my opinion, I think that if you're getting those fruits and vegetables and you're getting that in a day, like a daily diet, there is no fucking
reason.
need for antioxidants.
Yep.
You're spending $30 on a bottle for antioxidants
For nothing.
when if you're making smoothies, you're getting it from your smoothies.
Yep.
You know, so but the thing with multivitamins is we could dive down into multivitamins for like an hour, in my opinion, because there's so many different types of multivitamins.
Yes.
You have the 1 a day. You have multivitamins that you take 3 a day. You have multivitamins that are specific for women.
Yeah.
For men. For children, and it's like, where do you even begin with that? You know?
Exactly.
I think the answer to that's the blood work, though. I think the answer to
Well,
that
yeah,
is
but
that,
so then
that your
it's like
blood work is
where-
determined.
choosing the
So,
right one.
Yeah,
well,
that you're
that's
choosing
what
the right
I
one.
was
I
just
totally
gonna
agree with
say.
that.
Choosing the right supplement. So, like, let's take turmeric for example, right? Like, it's something that I have always been told, like, take turmeric, especially for my inflammation with fibromyalgia. It took me a really long time to find one that actually worked, and I feel like how would you say that you like to find the best quality?
I would say do your research. Look for a label that says CSP, NSF certified, or third party tested.
Okay.
All of those labels that I just listed, CSP, NSF certified, or third party tested, ensures that what's in the bottles actually on the label.
Okay.
Um,
Good to know.
NSF certified means that any like national sport foundation, like for example the NFL, the NBA,
Okay.
the NHL, stuff like that, they would give that to all of their athletes. So it's all clean. All of the stuff that's in there is
Yes,
actually
clean.
That's the thing.
And legal.
And legal.
And legal. If you're being tested for any of the events or sports you do,
So
that
are you
also
saying that there's
verifies
some supplements that might have like illegal
Oh,
stuff
God,
in
yeah.
them
I
that
think it
you
takes-
wouldn't know
There's
about?
people in jail right now for putting illegal supplements and stuff that they were selling on stores. I'm not going to mention the businesses or names, but
No,
it's more
that's-
common than you would think.
Okay,
People
no,
are-
but see, I would never think that.
People
as,
were
like,
putting
someone that
SARMs
doesn't really know
or
anything about
testosterone
that.
derivatives in pre-workouts without putting it, but they were mislabeling it and they were putting it into their product because it's not they're non-certified items and you don't need.
See, this is I think such an important conversation to have because I see people taking handfuls of pills daily, right? They're all my supplements, all my supplements. I'm like, well, do you really need all of them? And I'm sure some people might, right? But it's the balance of knowing how, when, what, all that, and I feel like not many people are that educated on it.
1,000%. Like for example, just like what you said with the multivitamins, right? Like if you're taking a multivitamin and you don't know what's in it, some multivitamins have way more or way less nutrients and vitamins that should be in there. For example, the fat soluble vitamins, the A, the E, the D, the K. If you have too much of that in a multivitamin, it could be toxic to your body, right? And let's go into B, for example, B1, B2, B3, all the way up to B12, stuff like that. Like B2 and 3, if you have too much of that, they're going to have a hard time competing on how it's being absorbed into the body.
Okay.
And stuff like that. You got to find a multivitamin that works synergistically, and all of the products that are in there are working synergistically. So, for example, the one a day, a multivitamin that you're taking one a day it's what the nurses call a bedpan pill, because
What's that mean?
you just shit it out.
Oh.
Your body can't absorb it at the rate in which you put it in.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good to like. Because I do take a one a day, but I take a one a day knowing that it's a supplementation to the food derivative, so it fills a small
I
gap.
take a woman's one a
That's
day,
very good sense.
and I was talking to someone who's very like into their fitness and training, and I know she like researches every like ingredient, so I trust her opinion very much. I don't have that, thank God, because that would suck. I actually feel it's like if I miss it, I actually know when I've missed it because I don't feel as well stomach wise.
Yeah.
That's when your pee's very bright too. I know that's a weird thing to
Oh
see.
no, yeah,
That's a lack of absorption rate,
Yes.
not greater absorption
Well, I
rate, because
think-
what's happening is
can
your
that-
body's flushing it. Just like if you have too much beetroot powder or beet juice, your pee turns red. That's
Well,
because your body can't
Can
absorb.
your
It's also
yellow,
dye.
like
That's-
the yellow pea, can that also be from taking too many also, and your body's just like, we can't handle it?
That's exactly it, because your body can't
Yeah.
filter it. Your body can't absorb it, so it filters it out.
Okay, interesting.
And then you could have too. You're right. It can. So many things can be toxic. I mean, technically, iron's a good one, especially for women.
You shouldn't be taking
No,
a multivitamin
so,
that has iron in it.
Um,
I'm sorry.
Agreed.
and
I
I
agree
feel
with
like
that.
iron pills
But you should watch
are
your
very
iron count.
interesting. So like I had gotten, and I didn't like this. I'll tell you, I immediately like my main doctor was like, no, why the fuck did she put you on this shit? She got your blood levels. You weren't that low. I went on iron pills being told that I needed them. Felt like fucking shit from them. And when I went to my like primary, he was like, no, immediately stop taking that. He's like, the only thing that you actually really need is the B12 shot
That's
because
sad that
you're
that
so
happened
low.
to you.
But I feel like that happens a lot. And I learned to start questioning a lot of doctors, which I never would have thought to in the past. But when I first started getting health issues, my doctor was like, all you need is PT. And I was like, for what? You don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And then when I finally found a good doctor, he's like, no, we're going to run all of these different tests. And he found all these different things that, like, PT would have never fucking helped me with. So I feel like you have to almost interview your doctors at
You
this
should.
point, right? Not something that I would have thought of until getting sick. But you should interview your doctors because some doctors are just like, here.
Absolutely, you should interview your doctors. I mean, the way I look at it is like, for example, if you value your body, if you value your nutrition and your health and your fitness, you should go to the extent of interviewing your doctor. If I value my iPhone, right, I'm not going to throw it in a puddle of water. I'm not going to step on it or drop it on the ground because it means something to me.
True.
I'm going to take good care of it. The same thing applies for like finding a good doctor who actually cares about me. I dealt with the same thing with my legs. You know, like no one really wanted to diagnose me correctly or take the time to do the test.
Isn't that really frustrating? Because like I've gone, and I went to at least 6 different doctors in 6 different practices for my autoimmune, and every single one of them was just like, you're just a question mark. And that's what I still hear. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna figure it out on my own. You know what I mean?
You have to sometimes.
Unfortunately, it was just like, you know what? Fine. I'm gonna diet. I'm gonna eat the right foods. I'm gonna start working out. I have to tell you, it's changed almost everything. Yeah.
Well, it changes your internal biome, all those things.
I just feel like I'm lucky enough to have had that experience, to have learned to do that. I don't think a lot of people know to question, because it's your doctor, right?
Yeah.
Why would I need to question you? But you do.
Always. Well, here's some things. And I hate breaking this down because I think that everybody's an individual. So I think everybody should go do the research and have an individual sit down with a certified dietitian or personal trainer if they're looking to get better with their health. But there are some practices that people could put into their daily lives nutrition-wise, like dietary or nutrition-wise. You, with your experience in the field, what are some like the basic things that you usually have to tell all your clients that have a profound effect on their health? From a nutrition.
To have
a positive,
Like I said, get the essentials first. Get a grip on a diet and start and make that a habit. It takes 3 weeks to form a habit. Start it, try it, do it for 3 weeks. See if you notice difference. We set a test, a control test, and then we retest. And we see, okay, is this working? Is it not working? What is working? Can we keep implementing it? Is it not working? What do we need to change to do that?
See, even as just like a health coach, that's something that I do. I'm like, but I don't tell that, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, how about we experiment with different foods, right? Like, what works for you might not work for me. So do you have them like experiment with different foods and all that kind of stuff?
Depending on what their current diet is like. So if their current diet is just like off, let's say we're talking about someone who wants to lose weight. Okay, and let's say their diet is completely off the rail. They're eating whatever they want. They're not tracking their food. You know, they're already overweight. They have issues with their blood pressure, stuff like that. Okay, so what have you been eating? I don't want to completely shock their body and also fuck up their mind and be like, we need to take everything out. Because not only are they going to grow resentment towards me, they're not going to like the lifestyle change that I'm implementing with them, especially if it's harsh and it's not going to stick.
No, you can't.
It's not.
No, you have to baby step it. It's like having someone
jump into an RX workout.
You have to baby step it.
You're not going to come back to another workout.
You have to baby step it.
Yeah, so I would be like, okay, well, what's your current diet like now? Okay, well, you're not getting enough protein in. Okay, so let's maybe start by increasing your protein intake. Can you do that? If they can't do that, okay, well, do you have any stomach sensitivity issues to any type of whey? Or are you getting enough fish in your diet, like, for example, like that? So what are some different ways that we can, I always like to, what can we add before we start taking away?
Oh, I like that.
I like to do that too, because it's just like, you're already starting something scary. And then I'm taking away all your comfort stuff, like your comfort food, your couch.
And they're also going to have everyone else around them giving them, right? I found when I started actually doing the work, everyone now had an opinion of what I should be doing. I'm like, I think I'm going to do what I'm doing because it seems to be working. Why throw a different million ideas at me and then just confuse me?
You're going to get that no matter who you are. If you go into any kind of situation like that, 'cause you'll get that in your career, you'll get that in the gym. You're going to always have people with a bunch of opinions throwing their opinions at you because they know something and they want to share it with you. It could be from a good, positive place or it could be from a narcissistic place.
It might work and it might not work. But take it like with a grain of salt and then bring that opinion or whatever it is that they brought to you, bring it to your trainer, bring it to your doctor. Is this something that would work for me? Is this something that would help me? Is it something that would hurt me? But that's what I would do. I would just start adding some stuff in.
I really like that.
And if they can sustain that, if they can do that, if they can implement that, okay, well, maybe we should start cutting down your fat a little bit. Are you doing enough cardio? Are you doing weight training? Everything, it's like they're all connected together. So it's very important to move synergistically between your lifestyle, your fitness, your nutrition, and your overall wellness when it comes to your mental state too.
Well, yes,
I like the good idea of adding before taking away as well, because it's very, very easy for people to react negatively when you start pulling things out of their life that they're so accustomed to, but people are more willing to try new stuff than they are willing to get rid of the stuff that gives them comfort.
Absolutely.
So
they came to a trainer.
Yes.
They're coming to a gym. They don't do that. They're starting something new. Okay, well, let's
And
keep
starting
that
something
going.
new is always scary.
Yeah. And then have someone start something. Let's say they haven't even stepped in a gym once in their life. And they come in and they have someone saying, all right, well, we're going to take everything away.
Oh my God, I'd cry. You know what I mean? Like,
Seriously,
if I had started and that's what they said.
Maybe that honeymoon phase with the trainer, you're like, yeah. And then like 3 days goes by and you're like, oh my God, like I'm having dreams of like chips in my cupboard, but there's nothing there and my trainer's going to yell at me. It's like, no.
Work. I've had, people say like, oh, well, I just had to have like some potato chips. I'm like, good. Let yourself indulge every once in a while, because I found when I was like really, really strict, when I was first losing weight, I would always let myself have a cheat day. And I found I lost more weight that way of strict, one cheat day, and then after that cheat day was when I found I lost most of my weight. So I feel like there's always that balance, right? I've always talked about balance of you can't go too far one way or too far the other. It's like there needs to be a balance, because if you don't let yourself have those few M&Ms or whatever, you might spiral and like
1,000%,
and start being like
1,000%. I hate the word cheat day though.
I understand that.
I like to have it like it's an intuitive eating day.
Okay.
Because when you say like I'm having a cheat day,
it makes them feel like you're doing bad, right?
What you're eating is bad, and it's not, especially people who struggle with eating
That's true.
disorders.
No, that's true. I have been trying to practice not saying cheat day, but because that's what I've always used it as, it's what comes out first. But I have been learning, because like, just working with some of my clients, I'm like, all right, rephrase how you say things. You're right though.
Of a difference,
it does
1,000%.
Because cheat is a like bad word, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna associate like, oh, well, I'm being bad. So you're right, and I actually need to start
gentle
more.
Reminder, girlfriend.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I
like that though.
Well, I learned
need
that just a few weeks ago myself. I actually have someone who's helping me with my diet because I have terrible relationship with food.
I think here's the thing. I think a lot
I love
of
that you
people
said it
do
that
though.
way too, because I'm like, listen, certain days I have a terrible relationship with food.
I think
most days
everyone at some level has some weird relationship with food.
Yeah.
I think it's one because we have so much more that we never had before, so we're binging on shit that we've never been able to binge on before, and you don't really know when to stop sometimes, or this or that. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Well, if you eat anywhere, if you go out in public to eat anywhere, there's actually a slew of jobs now that exist that specifically determine how to make the food you're going to order and eat at any location addictive to ensure that you are a return customer, especially big box stores. And they're paid for it. There are jobs that encompass that entire dynamic of food structuring. Yeah, 100%.
So I have when I was going through
It's wild what they do.
my health and life coaching, they actually gave out like a cheat sheet of like, if you're going out to a restaurant and you're trying to be clean, like for a Chinese restaurant you do this, for that, and I'm like, wow, that's like really smart to have for people who might not know what to order when they go out, or feel pressured to eat when they're out, right? Or little even techniques of putting your napkin over your food to stop yourself from overeating. Just little simple things. It's amazing when you start to do them, it like a habit, it just starts to add up, right?
Yeah. I like to tell my clients, like, before you guys go out to dinner, look at the menu beforehand. If you want, send it to me. Pick something out that you think is healthy. And when you guys sit down at the table, don't even open it. Don't even open the menu, because you already know what you want. If you're going to be looking at other stuff in the menu, it's going to be that much harder to give in to the temptation of wanting to get it, especially.
Well, I like that you're someone who's willing to be like, hey.
That's why she should be your coach, by the way. For anybody looking for a coach, it's text, hey, Annette, what? Don't want to be a fat ass later. What can I? Because I'm the cheeseburger. I'm the cheeseburger guy. I'll sit down and be like, well, I'm gonna do it.
They literally, they don't even say anything sometimes. They just send me a menu, and I'm like, well, I would get this, but you are going to get
with
that.
With a question mark, right? Menu, question mark.
But that's a great idea.
That's great.
To
That's
like
awesome.
not
it's good that you do that for your clients, by the way. It's very good that you do that
I
for your
really like that. I like that approach. I think it helps other people probably feel a lot better about being able to go out, because that's one of the things where it's like, you get nervous going out when you're on a diet, especially if you're trying to be good. You're like, shit, I don't want to eat too much of this or too much of that. But then you also, it's too much getting into your head sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you retain clientele.
Yeah.
Also, because that's the step that most people won't take, because it makes it, because you do care. Like, if you can't fake caring that way, because that's taking time out of your personal life, where it's just as easy to avoid that. So that's how you know, as a trainer or as somebody because you're changing these people's lives. They're putting their life change kind of in your hands. Not that it's your responsibility, but you forthrightly take the responsibility to help.
As a trainer, I'm you hire me to train you, but at the end of the day, I can't out-train a bad diet if you have a bad diet.
No, you can't.
You know, so like things like that actually help. And it's not about just getting them to weight loss or muscle gain. It's your overall wellness. You know? Okay, so what else encompasses your overall wellness? It's not just coming to the gym and lifting weights or going on cardio or this and that. It includes
1,000%. No, 1,000% going through it.
So as a trainer, you have to look at those.
Yeah. Mental state. Did you get sleep? Are you stressed the fuck out? Because if you're stressed the fuck out, I'm not going to recommend you do this hard ass workout. You know what I mean? So there's all these different little factors that you have to think about for every single client.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Speaking of stress, let's talk about probiotics.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about probiotics and how you can get them naturally. That's something that most people don't talk about, because I think it's better. Personal opinion, which is not the right opinion, because I know it's true. Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like it's better to get them through food source, because I think that the bioavailability is better. But every single study and statistic proves me wrong, so I am not going to stand on a pedestal and say
You must hate that so much.
No, listen, I'm not going to stand on a pedestal and say I'm right, because I'm obviously not. I just, for some reason, through my personal experience, feel that bioavailability increases if you eat them as part of a food source, because your body is naturally activated into that digestion process, and it incorporates it into the digestion process.
Also, a lot of the pre and probiotics are, they're not good. Some of them are good. Some of them you need to refrigerate. Some of them you need to take one.
I was actually just going to ask.
Stuff like that.
You always hear, like, the best probiotic is the one that you need to put in your fridge. But then I've heard, but the one that I take, I don't put in my fridge.
That particular supplement company wants you to take theirs. That doesn't have to be refrigerated. It's a marketing thing.
When have you ever heard of probiotics or bacteria? When have you ever heard of bacteria growing in a cold environment?
Whoa!
Like,
okay.
Your body's not even a cold environment.
Yeah.
So
that's a very good point.
I mean, I understand
that's not something I would have ever thought of.
That's different. That's why refrigeration might be necessary to keep them viable. However, they're not active. They might be viable.
So what's the point of a probiotic, right? 80% of your immune system is in your gut.
Yeah.
Gut health. Like, it's not about just like making sure you shit 3 times a day.
No.
It's about making sure that your stress levels, your immune system, everything is, and that's why I segued from stress to that. Everything is running on all 6 cylinders, because if it's not, then like you're more susceptible to getting sick. You're more susceptible to all these autoimmune stuff. And it's like you could be preventing it or lessening the case of it if you are taking digestive enzymes or
Oh God, I
green
love.
probiotics.
Can I just tell you, digestive enzymes has saved my stomach.
Yo.
Like, I mean,
if you are not pooping 2 to 3 times a day,
well, I mean, there's just certain foods
You don't want
too,
to talk about
where
my
it's like,
regularity.
if you can't
I do.
break down
very happy
something,
about it,
Thinking about
actually.
poop.
Poop is important. There's
I love
this
it. It's
whole
one of my
thing
favorite times of day.
that I learned about, like, and like, I
Sorry.
swear to God,
Sorry,
if I
not sorry.
introduce this to my clients, they'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And it's called mood and like poop, and it's like, but it's true. It's like your stress level and how you poop are very interconnected.
Yeah.
If I'm anxious, I'm pooping.
Well, not only that, it goes to show you how well is your body breaking down these foods. How well is your large and small intestine working? How good is your gut health, pretty much, you know? So I think that should be on one of the highest of the supplements that you should be taking, no matter what your blood work says, no matter what goes on in your life. Probiotic, take it.
Well, like I said, I can notice when I'm not, if I've been not taking my probiotic. I instantly can tell.
Absolutely.
Just almost like I take, because I can't drink apple cider vinegar, but they have those Goli vitamins for the apple cider vinegar, and that's helped my digestion and my stomach like tenfold. And again, if I forget to take them, I immediately notice. Those are the two ones that like I know my body like instantly knows if I haven't been taking them.
To your
like,
defense, too,
ruins me.
probiotic pills or digestible probiotics that you can get as a supplement are super viable now too, because most of the naturally sourced probiotics that you can get, stuff like you're going to find on shelf, the apple cider vinegar, the kombucha, your yogurts, all that stuff, as good as that is in general terms, they're excruciatingly watered down and on the shelf items. So when I was out for 3 years, was making my own kombucha, which is the easiest thing to do. All you do is make tea and then put sugar in it and then sit.
Yeah.
But the difference between the quantity of probiotic content was extreme, because it was noticeable immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Noticeable immediately.
Franny's daughter, who I'm friends with, she's very homeopathic, where she makes her own dry shampoo, her own kombucha, elderberry syrup, all this other stuff. She's very homeopathic, and it's cured a lot of the stuff that she has. And now, just watching her, I'm like, show me your ways. Because we really do take in so many toxins from drinking things that have preservatives and all this other shit in it. It's also reading ingredients, right? Like, I never realized how important that was.
Read the label. Yes. Always read the label.
Always read the label.
You'd be surprised what's in there that you can't understand.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't understand half of it.
Don't Google it. Maybe do Google it, but
well,
but beware.
Pick up 2 bags that, like, all right, so, like, again, like, right, if you're going to have someone change a food, and let's go from, like, Doritos, you pick up a bag of Doritos, you read the label, and then you pick up, let's say, like a kettle chip, right?
Chips.
Yeah, veggie chips. Doritos is, like, this long, and then that one's going to be this one. So I'm going to be like, go to that one first before you take that out, right?
Exactly.
Because less is better than all of those chemicals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. That's also in multivitamins, too. They put fillers in it. Some fillers are good, though, because it helps with the absorption of these minerals and vitamins. But then some fillers, you're just like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, why?
This conversation is hilarious, though, because you, of all people, know for a fact that my diet, alongside other people, in the summer for dinner is usually Doritos and gummy bears. I'm sitting here talking about probiotics and like, what are you eating for dinner? Sour Patch Kids.
What do I say? That I feel like there's a balance too. Oh
yeah.
Like,
no, I'm not asking for forgiveness.
You work out so much that you can kind of let your
Ken
but
and shit are 2 different things.
Well, yes, but you do. It doesn't mean it's gonna fucking destroy you.
It doesn't cost me.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Before I stand up for 2 seconds, where would you recommend, through your history, getting your probiotic source from?
I go to chamomile. I mean,
I'm a big fan of this.
So I was until,
as you were saying, sorry. I'll be right back.
I started my health journey, and I'm not going to say names, but they put me on, I mean, so many different supplements, and like they were like, you have candida, this, that. I got so sick from it that I was like, I can't move. I feel like I have the flu. I was like, how am I supposed to start my journey when I feel like shit? It was like they forced way too much on me all at once.
Well, that's the thing. You need to, what you're putting in your body needs to be synergistic to each other.
Yes.
Because one thing can counteract another thing. Or one thing and taking another thing can be too toxic. Or it'll have a hard time competing
and
with
I remember
the absorption.
calling them, and they're like, no, that's normal. I'm like, this should not be normal. I'm like, I can't walk down the street. I don't feel that well.
Yeah.
So that's when I kind of reconnected with my friend again, and I was like, hey, I think, like, let's start together. I'm like, I don't like how they treated me there. I don't like that they were like, it was like 6 bottles, or, you know what I mean? And like, just start taking them all. I got so sick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure it's a great place. But again, like, be careful, right? Of like.
So the worker there told you to get all these things? No way. So, yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I don't want to be too, namey. But, and what's funny is like the owners of that place used to be friends with like my dad and my mom, like back in the day, which is hilarious. But, just too much. Like,
get
way
your recommendations from like your registered dietitian or your doctor. Make sure you're interviewing them first, like we already talked about before. But I go to Chamomile. Of course, what I make sure I look up first, I like Garden of Life for some things, and there's some things Garden of Life I don't like, but.
So what do you like of Garden of Life? Because
I like their magnesium.
Okay.
Their magnesium's really good. And I also take their dandelion root too.
Okay. They have a digestive enzyme.
I take
that I love.
So that's what I was going to segue
it's
into next. So chamomile, most people don't know what chamomile is if you guys have a large following, but it's an all-natural holistic store. If you don't have something like that, like I said, any place that sells the CPS, the NSS certified, or the third-party tested products that have those labels, like for example the corporate gym I was working at, as much as I hated that place, they sold those products there. You could only get those products from that gym. You can't get it at GNC, you can't get it at Vitamin Shop, or they sell them at doctor's offices. So you could even check your local doctor's office. I know that some physical therapist office sell vitamins and minerals and stuff like that, but you got to find a spot that sells good products and then
and I'm sure they do sell good products. I just think I was sold way too many products all at once.
Well, they are trying to make some money too.
Yeah.
It is a business.
But that's the sad part though. Like, I guess for me, we're like, if I love what I'm doing, the money isn't part of it for me. It's helping someone. So for you, like, so it pisses me off when you're just trying to make more money off of one person instead of actually really helping them.
Especially when it comes down to their health. It's one thing if they're trying to sell you like one phone compared to the other.
And I mean, and that if you saw what I looked like, I was 220 pounds. Like, don't introduce me to like a whole ton of shit that I don't even really know about, didn't know to really research, just took, right? I was like, so sick. Yeah. So it taught me, research your shit, girl. Right? Research your stuff. Learn your body cues. I feel like is something that a lot of us don't know how to do, that I've been slowly learning, is like listening to what my body's telling me, right? Like, you might need more of this today, or you might need more of that. It's just,
Put rest on that list. I found it funny that dandelion root, I do it as tea. I do dandelion root tea.
I like dandelion root.
So can you tell me the benefits of it?
So I'm lactose intolerant.
Me too.
So I have slight sensitivity to gluten too.
Okay.
So I tend to bloat when I have stuff that I know I shouldn't be having, but I
But you
love
love
cheese.
cheese. Yeah. Being lactose intolerant
And
sucks.
dandelion really helps with getting rid of the excess water that you have.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
See, again, like I
Bodybuilders
love,
take it
I love
before they go on,
learning.
not
And
before they go on
it's
stage
so
during
much
their
better.
desalt process.
It's so much better than water pills that you can get at like CVS because most of them have caffeine in it too. And if you're caffeine sensitive, and if you're a coffee addict like me, and you didn't do your research, you could have been like me and just like fucking your kidneys out.
Like most diet pills
Oh,
are like that too.
man.
The water loss pills and diet pills, they're just biopurine and caffeine. What they're doing is trying to jack your resting heart rate up all the time, just so you
Oh,
burn
I
into
feel
calories
that.
during the day.
Pretty
Like
much.
the
Yeah.
what was the classic one? Like the hydroxy cut
Oh my
that
God,
everyone
the
wanted to
green tea one,
take.
too?
Yeah, like I was like, no.
Well, question then, if you're looking to get into athletes in the athletic field and train more athletes, because this is kind of like where I slide myself into here, I guess. Supplementation that you would know off the top of your head that you could recommend to, you would and probably could recommend to almost all people on the athletic front that they could benefit.
Protein and creatine, amino acids.
Can you
Those are my
explain
top three.
creatine to me a little bit?
What about beta alanine?
Yeah, I mean, that's just me personally. I went through my whole pre-workout phase, and they all had beta alanines in it and stuff like that. I don't really necessarily, for me as an athlete, need that to get the stimulation that I can get from like creatine.
Were you taking it properly? Because it's not a stimulant.
When
It actually
taken
is.
properly.
Huh?
When taken properly.
When
yes.
well, some people only get it in their pre-workout, which is the biggest problem. They think like that you're getting the tingles and you're getting a result. You're actually getting no result. You have to take a standardized amount every single day, and you should take it with a sugar source so your insulin system could
But
deliver
that's
properly.
If you're
it's
tingling,
very
shouldn't
similar
that-
to creatine as well.
Okay, if you're tingling though, shouldn't that be like a sign that?
No, that just means you took it. That's an instant reaction, but it's just an absorption-based reaction. It's not what it does in your system. It actually
Okay.
lowers your body's...
I would just figure a tingling sensation after taking something usually means
Like
that
it's
you
working.
should
It just
be
means
taking
it's
it.
just inside you, but it lowers your body's what's what I'm looking for here?
I see. That's the thing.
Acid. It makes your body more basic. Your blood. It makes your blood more basic than acidic. So what happens is it increases your lactic threshold because your blood level is more basic to begin with. So when you're doing like very hard sprints and your body dumps a lot of lactic acid and it volumizes that quickly, it makes you last longer in those situations because your blood level is more basic to begin with.
Okay.
So that's
So
how that
hold on, I want her
works.
to explain like creatine to me because I've always heard about it, never really looked it up or like what it is. Cause I've never taken like pre-workout stuff or anything like that. So I would like to know more about it.
I would just say creatine's for athletes. Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, so creatine, you could use that for muscle gain.
Okay.
That's the biggest use for it is muscle gain. It also helps with your performance in the gym too. So what creatine does is it helps with protein synthesis. And not only that, it gives you cellular water absorption. So it makes you get pumped. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And with that being said, it is instantly absorbed compared to like
Okay.
other stuff that you take. As soon as you take it, creatine monohydrate is instantly absorbed in the body. So creatine will help with the muscle gain. It'll also help protect against muscle breakdown as you're training, if you're doing longer training sessions, and just it'll help.
Oh no, so very
rebuild your muscle out
good
too.
to know though.
It's good. I like creatine. There's a lot of different ways that people talk about when to take it, how much to take it, especially if you've never taken it before. They say that you could do like a loading where you take before and after your workouts or in the morning or at night for like 5 to 7 days, and then after that you'd go into like a maintenance phase. I personally prefer the slower one where you're just taking 3 to 5 grams after your workout every single day because the thing with creatine is, let's say for example, my coffee here. I drink my coffee, 30 minutes later I'm jacked up. I feel the effects immediately. With creatine, it's all about, oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, I hate that.
Brett and I did that like for an
Oh,
hour.
I
the
do
other
Oh,
day,
it
by the
just
way.
came in there once you guys
Shut up,
started
Kevin.
talking. It's stored in your muscles. That is not the word I want to come up with, but it's
Are you talking about creatine itself? Because creatine is cellularly stored as it's an ATP ADP conversion.
yes.
Is what it is. That's why it's one of your energy systems. That's why you ever do like a really heavy lift, then you might get a little lightheaded.
Oh,
What
yeah.
your body does is it can convert that ADP to it utilizes your energy, and what the creatine monohydrate does, it breaks down in your system to a I keep messing up ADP or ATP. And what happens is
ATP.
What is
ATP.
that?
So and you utilize all that, and it does
triphosphate.
triphosphate. And what it does is it dumps an extra phosphate to replenish your system. So those
Okay.
very heavy lifts where your body utilizes every piece of your muscles contracts super fast, it replenishes the system that activates that.
Ah, okay. No, good. Like, again,
Super nerd,
I don't
sorry.
think a lot of people know
But,
this
like-
information, so it's good to kind of like not dumb it down. I don't want to say dumb it down, but like there's just times where like I'm like, Kevin, explain that more to me because they don't really understand it, and I feel like a lot of people with supplements, especially, don't understand it
Yeah.
and just take it.
And you're right, TP2DP, because it's triphosphate dumps the extra phosphate to become ADP.
I'm still, as you guys were
Yes.
talking, like I'm still in my head trying to think of that fucking word. I'm trying.
I was
Oh,
trying
I
to kill some
fucking
time
hate
while
when
you
that-
got there,
No,
I
I
promise.
hate when
but-
that
It
happens.
happens,
It
it
happens to
happens.
me constantly.
But-
My friend did a study that COVID happened, so it didn't occur, but he was actually doing, there's 2 studies out that's very cool about creatine. The first one is actually, they're giving it to the elderly, because the same thing that it does for your muscular functions,
In
it
your
does in
brain.
your brain.
Yes.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so it allows
That
you to
is
stay
cool.
cognitive for longer, so they give it to people that, they don't want to give it to people with Parkinson's, but they want to
ATP
study it.
can happen in the brain.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
But I think that's why I tried to not dumb it down, but
No,
it's
but
true.
it's-
Like when we
there's
start
no
saying
better way to
ATP,
say
ADP, adenosine triphosphate, and myosin heads, and this
Yeah,
and that,
I
and
know,
muscle
I know.
contraction, people just go. Ugh.
Yeah.
But like, it's not. You're not going to take creatine and put a scoop in your shaker bottle and mix it up and be like, all right, results.
No.
Like,
No.
you need to. Fuck, what's the word? You just need to constantly keep
Accumulate.
pulling it
Yeah.
into the system that you have. So that's why I personally like
Regulate
you take.
almost.
No,
No.
it's just-
Accumulate.
It's like yes,
It is, but
whatever,
you
whatever.
do-
But
you
like,
are correct, though. I
there's
understand what
2
you're saying.
ways of doing it. You could do where you build it up for like a week and then you go into maintenance. I like doing the slower version. You're not going to get results as quickly, but at the end of the day, it's a fitness journey. Do you
You're not
really
gonna
want to get
get-
results in
no.
like 5 days? Like maybe if you're trying to like do a photo shoot or something.
But I feel like
that.
isn't that normally like you're gonna feel almost worse if you do it so quickly? Like
And not with
No?
creatine.
Okay.
Not with creatine.
I just feel
It's
like
naturally
anything
occurring.
very
It's one of the
quickly-
safest things that
Okay.
you could do that does guarantee results too. That I'm like you. I do beta alanine and creatine. I really push them.
And it's also a myth that you need to cycle out of it. You don't need to cycle out of it. If you stop taking it, you are going to notice that your lifts aren't as good. You're not going to notice that you're getting enough energy during your workout, but your body naturally creates ATP. So your body is going to do what it naturally does, and it's going to continue to do what it naturally does, but you're just not going to get the help from creatine. You don't need to cycle out of it. With steroids, you should be, let's say, for example, you are taking steroids, you need to be, if you're stopping taking it, have your doctor or someone. Correct stuff.
Go see your doctor. Yeah.
Maybe cut
Don't
that
just
out.
make up a PCT. It's like take some tests, maybe a PCT, you'll be fine.
Do you think now that like I mean steroids have always been in play with kind of like the physical world? Do you think that it's lessening now or
No.
not at all?
0%. I think
That's-
do you think that they're compounding on top of it or replacing it in total? Because now there's blood dope. There's so
There's
many
so much
things.
different things, and I notice even on Instagram, people are just like talking and bragging about how they're not natural. Let's skip the steroids. Let's move to amino acids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I like amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks to protein
Mm-hmm.
synthesis. And I used to take them all the time. I'll be honest, the reason why I stopped taking them, if I'm being brutally honest, is I just didn't want to spend the money.
I can understand
They can
that.
jack up your stomach too.
A
sometimes.
lot of these things are so expensive.
But it
so
does
when you
gives you the energy that you need. You have 20
Yes.
you have 20 amino acids.
kind of have to look at it as like I'm paying to keep healthy or to maintain my health, or you know what I mean? Like this is part of my health. It's not me buying shoes or
Yeah.
that, or you know, but it does get expensive.
When I was
though.
taking it, you have to keep in mind I was doing Olympic lifts in the morning. I was doing CrossFit class, and then after I would weight train, and then after that I would do cardio. You know, so like I was doing like 4 or 5 workouts a day. I needed the amino acids, especially 9 of the amino acids that you can get out of the 20 are essential, which means you can't get them through food sources.
Okay.
So that you had to be taking them through the actual product itself.
Okay.
So I think that is what I would recommend to an athlete. I would say creatine, I would say amino acids, and I would say protein. And then we could dive down the rabbit hole with protein for a little bit too if you want.
I love the conversation of whether or not, because there's a new trend in protein where everything is now coming out where it's plant-based. But what they don't tell people is how much processing has to go through.
Or what kind of
Pea protein. Let's use pea protein as an example. You have to heavily process that to isolate the protein compound out of the pea. So if you're coming from whey, which is very easily isolated protein source, it's almost more natural and safer than pea protein, even though pea protein says singular ingredient pea protein, but how they get to that is pretty important.
So let's break it down. So like for example, whey protein, right? When you open up a thing of yogurt and you see that little water, that's whey.
That's whey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like for example, like
every damn day.
when they break it down, and you can get it through like cheese and stuff like that. That's how they come up with whey products. When they break it down into a whey protein powder, it's essentially almost lactose free. So people who
is it?
almost,
but okay.
let's put that almost. I don't know if you have cool editing stuff, but
I should try more.
But for example, me, I can't tolerate that. And unfortunately,
no, I can't. That's why I was like, wait, but the almost is key because I have tried whey. I do not respond well.
Yeah. So, but there's also different types of vegan options.
Yes.
For example, that's why I did a lot of research because I was doing like PE science, and I still wasn't getting the results, and my stomach was still having issues, and this, that, and the third. And I'm very particular about my protein powders and taste and consistency. I'm a little bitch when it comes to that shit. So Chamomile actually had this one vegan option, and it was hemp, rice, pea, and it was all evenly distributed, you know, so you're getting a little bit of each too, so it's not as processed to get to the product that you're talking about, the pea. But yeah, it depends on like, and that's the thing too, your body can only absorb, I think it's like 6 to 10 grams an hour of protein. I can't remember that off the top of my head. Let's say, for example, you have a guy who's 200 pounds. He can have probably about like 40 to 50 grams of protein in one sitting. Okay, I can't process that. I'll shit that out. It's not gonna happen. But like, for example, like in my shake, I'll do a scoop of protein and a scoop of collagen. They're different proteins.
That's what I do.
They're different proteins. So I can do 40 grams total, but I can digest it a lot easier because collagen peptide proteins is different than whey protein.
Yeah.
Collagen breaks down into like gelatin and stuff like that. And protein does that.
So, collagen question for you on your opinion. So I've heard, powder or liquid.
I've never done the liquid, and I'll be honest with you, I just hopped on the train of collagen 3 months ago, and I love it.
Me too.
Love it.
Honestly, I found the protein in it alone is good for you. Adding it to my protein shakes.
There is no vegan collagen peptides.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. All has to be.
Just
By the way,
so
no,
people
100%.
know.
No, well, that's a good
When
thing to know. I would
researching
have
it,
never.
if you're vegan and you want to do
There's
collagen,
Okay.
It literally doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, actually, now that
It's always marketed to women because of what it does for your hair,
Hair,
skin,
and
nails.
nails.
However, what they don't talk about, in one of the primary sources of it, is you could get collagen by eating tendon from animals.
Yep.
So if you ever like make soup and you utilize tendon as the ingredient, it's very
Okay.
very
Jell-O.
heavily
pudding.
Yep, big time because that's
Bodybuilders
collagen.
do it.
It's extremely
I would
good
not
for your
have thought of
joints.
Yeah,
Joints, your
Plus,
tendons.
it's very low calorie too. It's
Yeah.
so good. It's a good snack. I like it.
I agree.
Hey,
It's funny.
but hey,
No.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
What about bioavailability? Here's a question for you. Do you know the differences in bioavailability? Because I'm actually not well read into that. I'm very curious because there's always arguments. There's science to support everything, right? But through your history, is there a better bioavailability between specific types of protein powders or their origins, like hemp, whey, rice?
What do you mean?
Your absorption rate, bioavailability.
I would love to know.
Look, I'm
the
learning
answer
all of
to
this
that.
stuff right now, so
I
this is
don't.
why I'm like asking
I
you to
don't.
break it down
No,
a little
that's
bit for
okay.
me because it's also helping me.
I
Well, the
don't,
thing is,
but
there's
I-
so many contradicting arguments out there that I can only go from my own personal experience.
Mhm.
And my own personal experience is that whey
Well, I think
is
that's
more bioavailable
a
because I
lot.
get better results from it when I utilize it as my supplement over pea protein or rice-based protein. But it doesn't mean that's right. That just means my individual circumstances.
Well, again, everybody's body
I would
is
love to know the
different.
answer to that, but again, you also have to keep in mind that when you are doing these protein shakes, you shouldn't be having them from every meal too. You should be
No.
getting actual meat into your
Always.
diet too.
My protein
So-
shakes are more when I need a meal replacement because I haven't eaten or
Let's talk
I
about
yeah
that real quick.
yeah
too,
let's
meal
do let's
replacements.
do it.
Like for example, and I really hope someone watching this, if they have done this, learns from all my clients' mistakes. When people, before they even see a trainer, they always go for the meal replacements first. They hop on a treadmill and they'll do cardio 5 to 6 times a week, and they'll get a tub of meal replacement, and they'll do that for a few months, and they won't notice any results, and that's when they come to me. And I say, okay, well, what's your current diet? Blah, 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 blah. And when we get to the topic of meal replacement, I'm okay. So what do you make in your meal replacement? And they're like, okay, I do 2 scoops of meal replacement, banana, half a cup of strawberries, almond milk, scoop of peanut butter. And I just want to fucking put my head through a wall.
That's 800 calories right there, by the way. First of all.
A meal replacement should just be the powder.
That's
and
what I
water.
thought. No, that's what I thought because I was about to be like,
Good.
wait,
Good.
am I doing this wrong?
But you
Because no.
You wouldn't believe how many people say
Oh,
that.
really?
I'm like, okay, if you get a protein powder, whether it's like whey or vegan, okay, 20 grams of protein typical, right? Anywhere between like 3 and 6 grams of carbs and anywhere between 2 and 6
Well, I
grams
mean,
of
it even
fat.
tells you on
The meal replacement, maybe 15 to 20 grams of protein. In there, like 30
So,
grams
like-
of carbs, like 10
Ooh.
to 12 grams
Yeah.
of fat in one scoop.
So then they're adding all that other shit.
And then
Okay.
And a banana can be anywhere
See, I
between
would-
45 and 50 grams of carbs alone.
I guess just in my head, I'm like, it's a meal replacement, so why would you add food to it, right? The only thing that I add to my protein powder is the collagen powder on top of it because,
That's
like you
good.
said, it's a
Good.
different protein. And it
You're
makes
doing
me...
great, sweetie.
Yay! You know, sorry.
You're doing great.
But like, no, but that's good to hear, right? Because like, I was like, oh shit, am I doing this wrong for like a second, right? Like, because
Yeah.
you're like, let's talk about it. I'm like, shit, maybe I'm doing it wrong. But again, it's good to hear these things and to keep talking about it because I feel like you can always learn when you have these conversations, and if you can help one person even just watching this of, I think that's beneficial, right?
Yeah, like I do my protein shake as one of my meals, but I do turn it into a meal. So for example, I'll do my scoop of my protein, my vegan protein, a scoop of my collagen. It has such little carbohydrates that I do half or a third of a banana, and then mango, and then my almond milk, and then I do my PB2 powder. That way I'm getting all of the macros that you need in one thing, and it's all less than 500 calories.
Okay.
And if you have questions, DM, because everybody's individual needs are going to
So
be different.
different. So different.
vastly different.
Keep in mind, like for example, I have one client, she has Crohn's disease. She cannot metabolize. She can't even take multivitamins. She can't have certain fruits and vegetables.
Well, like that's
So everyone
Yeah.
is different too. So like when approaching something like that,
Yeah.
you have to understand what the person's
It's
needs
so
are, their
true.
fitness goals, and what their current status
and like
is.
their health issues.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because like I can't digest certain things, so I have to blend it or.
And how much are you working out? Are you living a sedentary lifestyle? Are you living
Yes,
an active
that's true.
lifestyle? There's so much to go over.
Oh my god! I mean, there's topic
Is it
for
that time?
yeah,
Almost.
probably.
Almost.
It's fine. We're gonna have you back on for sure when we,
Yes.
like a lot of the people that I feel like we've talked to. I want all of them back on because there's just so much to talk about, right? And it's so fun to just have these
Love it.
conversations. And I love to learn. I want to learn more. Like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? What am I,
Let's talk my language next time. We should talk exercise.
perfect.
I love
I
that
love
topic.
to, I
That's
mean,
all
I
it's
think
about.
all of us would love talking
Lady
exercise.
bummer over here.
We do that all the time anyway, so I can actually sit back and just listen to that one
Oh my
because
God,
we
you're so
bullshit about
funny.
that all the time.
I don't get me wrong. I love supplementation. I love nutrition. At the end of the day, supplementation is exactly what it is. You're supplying your body with what it needs if you're not getting it through your actual sources.
Yes.
Mhm.
So,
Agreed.
synopsis of this is understand what your current diet is like, understand what your current lifestyle is, reevaluate what your goals are. And then from there, talking to a professional, understanding, okay, what are you deficient in? What are you over in? And how can we find that balance to get you to the goals that you have? So I think that would just like...
No, I like that.
Well, that ties
There's
into exercise.
the
Anyway.
steps of how
Absolutely.
you should kind of go about doing it, which I think a lot of people lack.
Well, I think it's step one. I think that you need to get that in check before you even get your exercise in check,
Well,
because otherwise your exercise becomes like
Well,
a
I don't
maladaptive
even
practice.
recommend.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just you get, like I said, as an athlete, you can't out-train a bad diet. So step one is to always fix your diet.
Especially when you're working with someone who's like resistant to a lot of that kind of stuff, being very baby step and like not even using the word exercise. Sometimes I'll be like, just go out for a walk for 10 minutes. Start for 10 minutes. How does that feel? Then if you're doing good with that, then increase it by 5 minutes, because so many people are like ready to book it if you go too far or too much. So starting with the fundamentals is, I feel, so important for so many people, because I feel like people who should start here, and then they're like, you know what I mean?
that.
And it's not sustainable.
You can't sustain that.
Well, when it comes to exercise, by the way, we'll get into it next time, because that's another 8 hours. But we'll pull a Brett, which I don't want to do.
Oh God, no.
But
6 hours.
one thing I will promote. So
away.
if you do slide in our DMs, that out of all the trainers I do know, you are one of the most, tooting your horn here, you are one of the most knowledgeable when it comes to injury prevention, planes of motion, body dynamics, and utilization of energy systems. So there's a difference between being a coach or a coaches can also have this part of my job as a cheerleader because I'm going to instruct you. Coaches are instructors on pre-planned items
and
usually.
making you feel comfortable.
Yes.
There's
That's
so
it.
many different
But
factors.
as a trainer, you also, as a personal trainer, you also have to have the knowledge of body composition that you definitely do have through talks that we have outside of here, and that's kind of like a big separator when you talk about one-on-one training.
I'm like a dog. I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly. I'm like, okay, this is my time to shine. So yes, like when I get a client, before I even start training them, I'm going to be training you, but I'm also going to be educating you.
Yes.
You need to understand how your body works, how your joints work, how everything is moving.
Well, I think if you don't have that information, it's not for the client. Certain things won't click then if you don't have that information.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget. It was my first job. My boss, keep in mind, I went to school for exercise science, fresh out of college. He goes over a step up for 15 minutes, down to the biomechanics of it, what muscle groups, what planes of motion, how to properly execute a step up. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I get home and I live 3 flights up, and it took me like 5 minutes to get up there because I'm thinking about it and I'm putting my hand on those muscles and I'm like understanding it and I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And I'm like, so when I train clients, I do the same thing. I want that light bulb moment. I want you to understand that mind to muscle connection.
I
need
love
you to
those
understand.
moments.
And that way, we are moving efficiently. If you are not moving efficiently, if you are not training with a purpose, you are not going to get to your goals. I could sit there and tell you to squat, or I could sit there and tell you, okay, hinge your hips, squeeze your shoulder blades back, pull your ribs down, descent down, eyes up, shoulders back, knees out, sit back in the heels, push your big toe into the ground, all these things. But why? Well, I'll tell you why. When you push your toe into the big ground, or push your big toe into the ground, your heel and your pinky toe, you're creating that tripod on the foot, and it's giving you stabilization in the butt, and that's just your fucking foot.
Yeah.
Like,
and then once they feel it, though, they feel it. Because, like, I've had so many of those moments of, oh, I get, and I mean cues, too,
that
right?
happened to me like 3 years ago. I've been a trainer for how long? And I finally understood how to contract my hamstring.
Yeah. I'm going to tell Lou real quick. Seriously, he came up to me, put his fingers here. I went like this, and I was like, oh, I get it.
I'll have
You know
my
what I'm
clients
saying?
do it. Like, for
Like,
example,
there's
if
just
it's like a
different
chest press,
things.
I'll
Yeah.
have them put their hand here, and then the dumbbell on the other hand, and I'm like, okay, come down. Now press up, but don't even think about it. Here, do it now. Put your hand here. Okay? Put your hand out. Put your hand in. Don't think about your chest. Bring your hand in. Think about your hand. Push your hand forward. Do you feel much?
Not when I go
In
forward.
here? Yeah.
No.
Now come down. Now put your hand here, and I want you to think about this muscle. See how I just squeezed it? I learned that mind to muscle connection. I want you to think about from where your hand is, squeezing where that hand is to push your hand forward. Squeezing here too. Because yes, the movement, your hand is going up, but where's the movement coming from? It's coming from your elbow and it's coming from your shoulder.
Interesting.
Those are the fulcrums. Those are the joints of where the movement is coming from.
See, that's
So
the shit that I love.
So what muscle groups are surrounding those joints to make the movement happen? We need to figure out how to get here to make the movement happen. You can't do that if you're focusing on your hand when you're doing a chest press, bringing the dumbbells together. Everyone's thinking about their hand, right? The same thing with the bicep curl. You're thinking about your hands. Okay, stop. Bring your arm to a full extension. Squeeze the bicep. Forget about your fucking hands. Squeeze your bicep to bring your hand up.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, I feel, and you can ask Brett and you can ask my trainer, they say that I connect things very easily from workout to my body, and they're like, wow, like, I'm impressed, which makes me like, yay.
I love that when my
But
clients
I
get
feel
that.
like it's a hard thing to do, right? But even just that, like, now I'm going to be thinking about that. Like, I love that type of stuff.
And that's why
And
I
that's
like to do the thing I do that I told you guys about earlier before I work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that, though. I would say, no. Yes, I totally understand.
That's also how injuries are prevented.
No, I thought you were going to say injuries are created, and I was going to be like, nah.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Maybe. But again, it's science. Scientifically speaking.
Oh my God.
I'm not against it.
No, but
When you understand that.
When you understand it,
No,
it helps
it's
you prevent your
so
injuries.
true.
Because you're also understanding, okay, where's my joints being placed? When people do a reverse lunge and they step back, one foot's facing forward, the other foot's facing that way, their hips externally rotated out. You're incorporating wrong muscle groups to execute this exercise.
Well, if you're
then you're moving in a wrong movement pattern. Let's say you're doing that all the time.
And then you start compensating too, because let's talk, my back squat or my front squat, I can't remember which one it was. Brett could tell I was using one leg more than the other, and he started talking to me. He's like, "Do your squat. Come up. Do you feel anything?" And I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, no, I do. I'm leaning off of one leg more than the other to get up." So you have to learn how to move and fix and all that kind of stuff and feel it.
Done.
Oh,
Isometric exercise.
no.
Jen has that
Isometric
issue.
and,
1000%. But if you can notice it, then you can start to fix it, and that's
Sometimes
so
you gotta be told,
important.
told and taught.
Well,
that's why athletes need
absolutely.
coaches.
That's why
1000%.
I'm very lucky that my husband happens to be a coach. I have tons of friends who are coaches. I have a trainer. So there's tons of people that I can ask or be like, hey, I don't quite get what I'm doing wrong, and if they can, if they explain it to me, I'm usually quick to like pick it up. And it's not that easy for a lot of people, but I think that's something that should be more done, right? Is like learning how to feel what muscles, listen to your body, feel what you're doing wrong, and try to, even if you can't, like, fine, maybe you can't correct it because of a mobility issue or something like that, but to keep working on it is very key.
It's just like, it's muscle memory is what it comes down to. Like, when you get, back in the day when we had keys, like, when you got in the car, you didn't even look, you just put your key in the ignition. You didn't even think about what you're doing. When you brush your teeth, you don't think about what you're doing. You know, it's like it's a muscle memory. It's the same thing when it comes to exercise like that. Okay, maybe you were leaning too far onto that leg, but let's come up with a way that we can correct that, repeat that, and make your day-to-day. Because, for example, maybe you were putting that weight on that leg because 90 times out of the day you're standing like this.
Yeah. Oh no.
How do you shower?
So that's hilarious that you said that.
Like
My massage therapist was like, notice how you're sitting. Are you sitting like this? Because I think that's exactly how you're sitting, and that's why you're having that.
Right leg over.
So I've been.
That's why this entire podcast, you notice I've been switching, right?
I do that because I also have like an
up.
ADD issue.
Well, what's funny is I'm always switching, but that's
like, I need
what
one of those
he said.
child bicycles underneath the table. You know what I mean? That they get the kids in
I need to
first grade.
move. It's almost, and it's so funny because, like, I mean, again, if you didn't know me back then, like, I was the laziest person. Now I'm like.
Yep.
Jittery. Like, when I used to be sick, all I did was lay in bed and just lay there and be sick. Now, like, and Brett's definitely been a big part of this, of, like, get up and just do the dishes. And when you slowly start to do that, more and more comes to you, and you just, I've lost my point.
That's okay,
I do
because
this all
I think
the
somebody
time.
has to go hand out some candy to
That's
somebody.
fine. Yes, there's
And
so much that we can
I
talk
need
with
to
you
go play
about,
with
so you
chainsaws.
have to come back.
So, that's literally
yes,
what
and
I'm
I need to work out.
Again,
oh my god.
how do they find you?
So I'm gonna also put all of her information onto our YouTube link when we do load it. That way, and on Instagram.
Easiest.
Yes. That way you're not spelling it out. No one's gonna.
Yeah, there you go. So if you need
I'm
to
gonna
find out,
add it.
Or you could just Google Bethel Fitness. It's 24/7 CrossFit Danbury.
There you go.
Or Functional Fitness by Annette. That's my company name.
So thank you.
Of course.
I
don't
love conversations like this.
Fuck you.
So
sit on it.
thank
your
you.
cake.
And
Thank you. It's gonna stick. I guarantee it. That's my saying. Kate, you should be proud.
Thank you for listening, as always, and we'll see you again.